Nick.
And Matthew from Plastic Tombstone.
And this is another episode of I Heard Something About That.
Where we drop little nuggets of news right in your ear holes.
Jesus, nuggets of news in your ear holes. It's some of the information.
It's some of the information and our opinions on the some of the information we have.
Today we're going to talk about Far Cry 5, the Castlevania series, Game of Thrones trailer. I saw Alien Covenant this weekend. I can give you a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the redundancy of showing way too many trailers. And I have Jason David Frank news for Matthew.
Cool.
So, what do you want to start with?
Whatever you want to start with. Shoot me with something.
I just showed you that Castlevania Netflix anime series. We can start with that real quick because it's not going to be much to talk about there. So.
Yeah, I like the style of the trailer. Starting off with the Nintendo and
the old menu, and it had all the Netflix shows on there.
That was cool.
And
I just hope it doesn't suffer from what a lot of animes suffer from, just being kind of boring and long. And
yeah,
I hope it's as awesome and action-packed as the trailer makes it look.
Yeah, some of the Netflix animes are pretty good. The problem I have with some animes is they're usually really good, and then they peter out towards the end.
Yeah.
Like the second half of the season is just like, whoa. Because there's a lot of them I've watched, and I'm just like, all right, this could have ended a couple episodes ago, you know?
Yeah.
Like Death Note was so good up until the first half of the season, and then the second half of the season I don't think was as good as the first half. I don't know if you ever saw that, but you definitely should.
I didn't. Another one like that's like Rurouni Kenshin, just kind of starts off strong and then gets
strong, and then it's just like
gets really dumb.
Well, it's like they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
So then they try to retell the same story with different characters, and it's like, don't do that. Just everybody liked it for a reason, you know. But it looks pretty cool. I mean, the style's good. It's supposed to be like a mature anime, so not like a kid's one.
Yeah, too bad it doesn't have the Victor Belmont from the what was that game, that show?
Victor Belmont,
or what was that? Who was in that show? That Captain N, the Game Master.
You've lost me completely. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't remember that show?
Captain N, the Game Master? That's
really?
a thing?
You've never seen that? It was like an old 80s cartoon.
No concept of that. It might have just left my brain.
And it had like Mother Brain was the main bad guy, but she was like an androgynous like.
This is you're blowing my mind here because I have no concept of what
Mega Man talked like he smoked for 4 years. He's like, "Hey, I'm Mega Man." He was kind of a green color.
What is this? Was it an animated series?
Yeah.
What was it on?
Whatever TV shows we used to watch when we were kids, like ABC or whatever, Channel 2.
Captain
back when we
N.
had like 4 channels.
Captain N, the Game Master.
I can't believe you've never heard of that.
It sounds familiar. I can't place it in my brain.
It's like the intro was like he was playing a Nintendo game and then he gets sucked in, and it was like real life, and he gets sucked into the TV and it turns into a cartoon.
Huh.
And he's like running around he has a Nintendo zapper and a Nintendo controller for a belt.
Oh my god, it's starting to sound more and more familiar. I can't place it.
Well,
there you go, Captain N.
There's your homework.
Captain N, the Game Master. I'll look it up. Let's see what else. Well, in other Netflix news, we can talk about. They're making a Judge Dredd, but it's not Judge Dredd series. It's called Mega City 1.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. type deal, like.
Yeah. But it's going to be on Netflix, so maybe it won't be. The problem I have with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is it's on ABC.
ABC or whatever.
And you can't really do as much on ABC as you can on Netflix or whatever.
Well, that, and I just don't have time to invest in
Superheroes
friends running around.
Was there anybody big on that? Ghost Rider was the biggest person?
Ghost Rider was on one. I think Deathloop was in one season. I've watched like the first episode. I thought it was okay. I just don't have the time to invest in another Marvel TV show.
It's too much, man. Too much. But yeah, it's supposed to be Mega City 1. It's supposed to follow more than just Judge Dredd, all the judges, and
hopefully it's as good as the movie Dredd.
You and me really liked that one, right?
Oh, that movie was awesome.
It's really underrated. I'm sad it didn't do better.
Yeah, no.
It was sort of in my opinion, sort of how do I say this? Deadpool obviously broke the ceiling for R-rated comic book movies, but that was the one that sort of started to show people that maybe you could.
Well, that and my thing with Dredd was, most movies you always have where like, oh, the hero gets underpowered or he loses his abilities or something where he has to kind of fight up. This one, Dredd just kicks everybody's ass all the way up this building, and then, sometimes it's nice to have a movie where the main hero is just an ultimate badass that just really you can't do anything to him. He's just that badass.
Yeah. And it had good effects in it, and it had a good simple story to it.
Yeah, they didn't try to overcomplicate it. There was no like little kid sidekicks or anything like that.
Little kid sidekicks are the worst.
Well, in the 90s, man. Apparently every movie had to have a kid sidekick. Remember Spawn?
Oh, God. Was it that Spawn the animated series? No, that was Spawn the movie.
The movie.
Oh, my God.
He becomes friends like a little kid.
That was weird, right?
Yeah.
Spawn the movie was not a good movie.
No.
Those effects do not hold up very well.
It'd be a good idea if they could do it now, though, if somebody did it right.
Yeah.
It would have to be an R-rated movie.
Yeah. And speaking of little kid sidekicks, we can talk about Logan came out on Blu-ray this week.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Like, somehow I missed that. So, like, I tried to get the Best Buy Steelbooks because I got Deadpool, and I just completely missed it. And they sell out really fast. So I didn't get the Steelbook, but I did get the Target edition that comes with the 3-disc set and the noir version.
Yeah, have you watched it yet?
Not yet. I haven't had a chance to. I do want to watch it, though. Like,
you should let me know how that black and white one is.
it looks nice just from the screenshots and stuff of it. And typically I wouldn't really care to see a black and white movie, but something about the mood of that movie, I think it would really add to it.
Yeah, they did it with Mad Max too.
Yeah, I heard about it. I still need to watch that.
Dude, it's an action movie, man.
I know everybody's told me how good it is, and you told me too. I just haven't.
If you're a
fan, on my list.
If you're a fan of movies and how movies are made, and when you watch it and realize that all the cars are actually there and it's all practical effects and the people spinning on the poles are actually on those poles and stuff, it's nuts how they pulled that off.
And it's crazy, like how well that's praised, but we don't really see practical effects taking over again. It's more just CG everything.
I think it's just they're so expensive.
Yeah,
it works for some things, but it's just so expensive to make a fully functioning suit and stuff like that.
We just need to take out some loans.
Take out some loans to make some better movies.
Let's get Donald Trump in on Hollywood. He'll figure it out.
There we go. Our obligatory Donald Trump comment of the podcast. He'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out.
What else happened this week? Oh, they had a Game of Thrones trailer come out.
Yeah. It looks didn't give away too much, but it does give a nice build up.
Yeah. Looks like the war is coming, and you actually got some dragons and stuff going on. And
finally, everybody's going to go head to head.
So if you're listening to this podcast when those start coming out in a couple months, we'll probably review every episode as it comes out.
Yeah, we'll do a digging deeper segment probably on those.
Because we don't always have those, but we'll have some for like 7 weeks in a row when those come out finally. But we're both big Game of Thrones fans, and this one's only supposed to have 7 episodes, but everybody says it's supposed to move a lot faster.
It looks like it probably should, because I mean, if it's going to be the big
everything's
war,
connecting now. Everybody's getting together. Not everybody's having their own separate story. All the stories are merging together.
Yeah,
so usually when that happens, everything gets. And we're not even going to get. That's not even the meat of it, because this is the penultimate season. This is not the final season.
Yeah.
So the last season is supposed to have 6 episodes.
Can't wait. Cannot wait. That's such a good show.
So we'll probably get a lot. I imagine, my guess, or anyway, is that this season will end with the White Walker kind of attack.
Yeah,
happening.
Probably.
This
I feel like everybody will finally get to each other, and then the White Walkers will kind of come in and maybe have to make everybody team up or something.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see, because now we're past the books. So
it does kind of. It did in that trailer. They did kind of say like something along the lines of if we all don't get along or something.
What does it matter who sits on the Iron Throne?
Yeah, it doesn't matter whose corpse sits on the Iron Throne or something like that. If we don't all fight something.
That was fucking Sir Davos. He said it doesn't matter whose skeleton sits on the Iron Throne, which was a really good line.
Yeah, and it leads to the fact that probably the White Walkers are going to be the reason.
Yeah,
he says that because they'll wipe everybody out.
Yep, Song of Ice and Fire. So we'll get.
And I hope we talked about them doing a spin-off series, and I really don't want them to do that. Once this is done, I want it to be just that.
Yeah. It depends. To me, it depends on what they do.
Maybe.
Because, did you like The Hobbits as opposed to Lord of the Rings, or did you watch those?
I don't. It was okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
it depends
going back and watching Lord of the Rings now, I'm really not into those movies. Like, I liked them back when they came out, but now I'm just kind of like, yeah, they're okay.
Yeah. But it just depends on where they go with it. You can't do the Star Wars prequel where it leads up to it, I think, with Game of Thrones, because you know too much of what's going on. And
I just think of like the Better Call Saul thing. Like, I just didn't care.
Yeah, we tried watching it. It was just like,
it
wasn't that it was bad. It was just like I didn't have the investment into it,
Yeah, and that's what I don't want happen to Game of Thrones. I want it to be a good, solid story that we could all sit down and binge watch in the future if we want to, and not have to worry about anything new coming out for it.
Yeah, I mean,
as much as I love it, I don't want it to be tarnished.
Yeah, I think what they'll do is they'll just enhanced backstories, essentially, like Robert's Rebellion and stuff. That may be something they do, but I feel
But then again, I don't care.
Yeah, it's true. Some people do, some people don't. That was really hinted at a lot in the books.
Because you know the outcome. That's my problem with a lot of that. You know how it's going to turn out because you've seen the whole story. It doesn't matter what little story is going on in between all that. You still know the full outcome.
Well, luckily with this, at least with this season of Game of Thrones, it'll be self-contained.
Yeah.
Season 1 to season, what does it end at? 7?
7, I think.
7 or 8. It'll all be that's one story. It's going to end there. It's not going to be like cliffhanger, wait for the next series. It's going to be over. Which is the thing I liked about Westworld when it came out. I know you haven't gotten a chance to watch that yet either. But that was like a slow burn, but you could watch it, and honestly, to me, if they never made a second season, it was really good. It was one self-contained story within that little world.
Yeah.
And there's place for it to pick up, but if they never did, which they obviously are, but if they never did,
they left it off on a decent note.
They left it off on a really good note and more of a talking point as opposed to, what do you think happened after this? Well, instead of you having to wait to find out, you can talk to people about, maybe this is happening there and this is happening there.
I hope Outsiders gets picked up by Netflix or something because that ended on the second season and they canceled it. And of course, they left it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody will pick that up.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't do that thing where they make a movie out of it with all the different characters. What show did they do that on?
Firefly, wasn't it?
No, Firefly's movie was okay. I think it was like that Dead Like Me show. Did you remember that?
I started that series and then I just forgot. I just never finished it.
It ended randomly and then they made a movie about it and then 3 of the characters were different characters and it didn't work, man. I liked the show. I thought the show was fine, but then it sort of it kind of did what your show did. It didn't really end on a cliffhanger, just sort of ended.
Yeah.
And then they made a movie about it. It was a couple years later, and the main guy was gone, and the girl was replaced by another girl. And it was just like, why do that?
Yeah,
don't
just let
even
it go.
bother with it.
Just let it go.
At least with Firefly, it was like the same writers and the same cast, and it was actually a continuation of the story. But I hate when they mess with that stuff. So you said another trailer that came out this week that we both thought was a little redundant that we're both refusing to watch is another Spider-Man trailer.
What's that? The third trailer now?
It's like the
third or fourth.
Well, it's the fourth one if you don't count the teaser trailer.
Jesus.
And it's how much do you think that's Marvel and how much do you think that's
I think it's Sony. I think it's all Sony.
They're trying to
I think it's look, we got Spider-Man. Look,
come see our Spider-Man.
They don't believe enough in their products on its own that people will just go see it without being bombarded with basically the entire plot and all the characters who are going to be in it.
Well, they showed so much in the second trailer that I didn't think there would be a third trailer.
I know.
And now we
know the whole story arc.
And now the third trailer is shows all his gadgets and stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to see that. So if I can avoid it, I am.
I don't know. Marvel, Amy Pascal, who's the vice president, I think, of Sony, or president, I don't know. She's the one who is basically ruining everything in Sony. She basically hinted that once the Spider-Man franchise deal is over, which is I think it's 6 movies.
Yeah, he's
with
supposed
Marvel.
to be in 6 movies.
So
yeah.
it's Spider-Man Homecoming, Captain America Civil War, the 2 Infinity Wars.
It's supposed to be a Spider-Man
Another
sequel.
Spider-Man, and then I guess another movie, maybe.
Yeah, potentially he could be in something else.
But she basically is saying that the studios probably won't ever work together again. So it already kind of planting the seed that Spider-Man's eventually going to have nothing to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the future.
Which is really weird.
Which
it seems like the most resurgence they had recently was with him being in Civil War.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're just so fixated on having their own cinematic universe, which seems to be kind of what everybody's trying to do now. But
yeah, well, do you know that movie, The Mummy, that's coming out?
Yeah, it's gonna be. I heard.
Yeah, that's a part of an expanded cinematic movie monsters universe, which I don't think is a bad idea.
It's not, but
you like you said, everybody's trying to make a cinematic universe as opposed to just making movies, which everybody's just trying to emulate that success that Marvel had with that. And I think,
but Marvel has 80 years of.
Yeah, they have so much.
You're not going to draw in those fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe by excluding Spider-Man from that. That was part of my thing. I thought Amazing Spider-Man 2 was meh.
Yeah.
But it didn't help the fact that I knew that it was going to lead to nothing other than a Spider-Man universe, which is okay, but I want to see him interact with the other Marvel characters.
Yeah, Spider-Man has a lot in his rogues gallery, but you really want to see him act with Wolverine. You want to see him act with Captain America and stuff like that. That's what was so entertaining about Civil War.
And they're already starting to do it again, where Venom's not going to have anything to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, it seems weird to separate them. I understand it's
business.
They're
They're starting their own universe again. Like, they're trying to pull that again. And then, have you heard about the Silver Sable Black Cat movie?
Yep.
Which basically is, I guess, from what I understand, that the Sony president or whatever, she has been wanting to make this movie called Glass Ceiling, which is about women and how they are superheroes or something. I don't know. So basically, she's taking two characters and forcing them into that script.
Okay, that seems like a lot of...
If you get a chance, there's a YouTube channel, Midnight's Edge. They go deep into a lot of that stuff. They did a lot with the Ghostbusters when it came out, and they go really deep into Sony and Marvel and
the controversy.
Yeah, they're a good channel if you like reading into all that insanity.
Yep. So anyway, I want to see Spider-Man, but I don't want to see any more trailers.
I don't either.
I can wait.
Trailers are...
Well, trailers ruin movies.
They do. What happened to the days when you just had one and you just had to wait, or you had a poster and that's all you got to see?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about Alien Covenant, which I saw this weekend, which was pretty good. I actually liked it. It was better than Prometheus. I don't know if it was better than the actual Alien movies, but
I'm hearing mixed reviews about it. Yeah. Some people love it. Some people hate it.
I think if you're a sci-fi fan, it's a good sci-fi movie. It's a little weird, and it goes to some bizarre places. But it also did that thing in the trailer where it showed some cool scenes that I kept waiting for, but I knew based on the context of the movie. All right, so a little minor spoiler alert for this, but an alien ends up back on the ship, but throughout the course of the movie, they're kind of on the ground. And I'm like, so where are those scenes where the alien was on the ship? Oh, well, I guess at some point an alien gets up on the ship, so there's this big climactic battle, and the alien gets killed, and they were like, oh, we made it safely to the ship. I was like, no, you didn't, because I saw the trailer, and I know that there's going to be an alien up here killing the rest of these people. And it was just one of those things where I get that they're trying to show these things and that they're trying to entice people in, but if you've seen those trailers and then you're watching the movie, you're like, well, I can kind of plot out where this thing is going instead of being surprised.
It's one of those things where I guess we just don't have the attention spans like we used to or something. I remember when I was younger, the only thing I ever seen for Ghostbusters 2 was the poster. I never seen a trailer, but man, I was hyped for Ghostbusters 2 just from the poster.
Yeah. Well, we're very indulgent on information now. I mean, just like you said, there's channels dedicated to people digging in to studios' decisions. Everybody wants information. Everybody wants set decorations.
And information's right at our fingertips now. It's not like it used to be where we just had to speculate with each other at school.
There's drones. Star Wars has anti-drone drones that'll fly around the set, taking out drones that are trying to take pictures of their sets. That's people's full-time job, is to make sure nobody's snapping pictures of the sets, just to keep it secret for once.
I know how to fly a drone. Maybe I can get that job.
But yeah, that's what they're doing, because everybody's like, oh, what was it? I think before Civil War came out, there was set photos leaked of, who's the guy in the very beginning? Crossbones?
Crossbones, yeah.
Yeah, it was leaked early on that he was he was at the beginning of the movie, but you wouldn't have known he was in the movie until... Yeah,
it's one of those bad, I don't know. That's just a sign of our times, I guess.
It's good that the information is there if you want it, but even if you don't want it,
sometimes
you can't get away from it.
You're scrolling through Facebook, and there's a big picture of what Thor looks like in Ragnarok. Oh, cool.
Did I tell you about my Jon Snow experience? Why I started watching Game of Thrones immediately when it came on? Because I stumbled onto a news article. It was after the season 7 premiere, or it was 3 episodes in to season 6 when Jon Snow came back.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But anyway, I got done watching it at 11:30, and the second news story was Kit Harington explains what it was like to lie to everybody about being dead. If I hadn't got a chance to watch it that night and I stumbled across that article the next morning, that would have totally been blown for me. Obviously, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But they threw it out there without spoiler alert for Game of Thrones coming out. It was just like right there, so I couldn't avoid it if I wanted to.
That's why sometimes it's just a good idea to just unplug.
They used to before Force Awakens came out, they had Google made a browser that filtered out Star Wars spoilers. So if you didn't want to see them, you could just hook that browser out, and any Star Wars story would not go through.
Well, it's like I said, I didn't know Logan came out because typically I don't even check a lot of social media anymore. I was kind of just disconnected from it. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of nice just to walk into Target and say, "Oh, Logan's out. Yeah, that's cool." I miss those days back when you just stumble onto something instead of knowing months in advance when it's coming out, the day it's coming out, who's got what.
Like surprises, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, sweet. Target's got a special edition. Of course, I checked Best Buy's website to see if they had the Steelbook. It was sold out. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Target special edition. I didn't know this movie's out. I want it.
Boom. You purchased it.
Boom, right there, yeah. I didn't have to wait months in advance just anticipating it.
Yeah. So we try to unplug, but you just can't, you know?
It's hard.
Just because the normal stuff I look at, like I'm not really concerned about video game spoiler stuff, but a lot of the stuff I look at for video games and stuff has movie stuff on there too, so I just can't get away from it. I don't know how you get away from it at this point.
Yeah, it's a barrage of just
information,
and
even if you don't want it, you know,
fake news, real news, random shit.
Well, see, I could avoid trailers. I think avoiding trailers is pretty easy.
Yeah, well, because you have to commit to sitting and watching the whole thing.
But unless you go to the movies,
yeah, then you're screwed.
Then you're screwed because it's not like you can cover your ears or just walk out. If it's a crowded movie, then I'm like stuck watching it.
And I think they should keep it at just one trailer for the movies, not 5 different trailers that come on different channels. Like I'd be okay if I seen the same Spider-Man trailer every time I went to the movies. I mean, it would get redundant, but at least I wasn't being spoiled on anything else other than just the trailer.
Yep, you just want that one, but no, they just keep adding.
I mean, you remember the first Spider-Man teaser for the very first one?
Was that the one where it was between the Twin Towers?
Yeah. I mean, obviously they took that out, but do you remember
that was it?
Do you remember how awesome that was? You're just like, oh, Spider-Man, a movie.
Spider-Man.
Oh my God! And that's all you needed. Like you had me right there.
Yeah, I would have paid.
I didn't need 23 trailers.
I would have paid for that. Things like, what do you think we do need trailers for, though? So you're saying we don't need trailers for, or multiple trailers for big sequels?
Maybe, or we don't need multiple trailers for characters that are already established, maybe.
Yeah. Like you didn't need 3 Guardians of the Galaxy trailers.
Yeah.
You didn't need 4 Spider-Man trailers because he's already been established as a character.
Yeah, and no matter what, he's going to make money.
Yeah. I guess one last bit of movie news. I guess they think the villain for Deadpool is going to be Black Tom.
Black Tom Cassidy.
Who's that?
I don't know. Honestly, I remember him from the 90s X-Men comics. I don't remember much. I just remember him being there. Like I think he was a member of the Hellfire Club, and I think he had something to do with White Queen, maybe a relationship with her. I'm not 100% sure, but I remember his toy had like a missile that shot out of his hand that was like supposed to be his cane or something.
Well, there you go.
And half of his body was looked like Groot.
Half of his body was Groot?
It looked kind of like it. He had like a brown eye and like a big tree-looking hand. I don't know.
Do you remember when Nick Nolte was the Absorbing Man in that Hulk movie?
I do.
Anyway.
So, I mean, I guess anything's better than Francis. I mean, he was pretty bland as a villain.
Well, what do you do in that situation when you have a charismatic superhero you're trying to get on screen? You can't have an equally charismatic. Can you have? I mean, is that too much?
I think it's great. I mean,
I think you need to sell it first because I think now they can have a really charismatic villain in the second one because Deadpool is kind of his tone and stuff is established more, which is why Kurt Russell works so well as Ego.
Exactly.
Because you didn't have to establish Star-Lord and his banter and the way he talks because you already did that in the first movie.
Yeah, so this one you can have a little bit more freedom with
the villain.
The villain.
Because you don't have to resell it, which is the problem DC's having because they're trying to establish all their characters so quickly, and it's just like it's almost
when does Wonder Woman
too much.
come out? That comes out, what?
A couple weeks, I think.
I guess we have to go see that and talk about that.
I don't know what to think about it because I keep hearing conflicting stories. Some people are like, it's just as meh as the other ones, and some people are saying this is finally the step in the right direction that DC's looking for. So,
well, the Wonder Woman movie was really good, the cartoon one, which is it looked like it's based off kind of the same story.
Yeah,
which I thoroughly enjoyed. So I'm hoping maybe it's good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just not excited for it. It just doesn't. Something about it just doesn't grab me.
Yeah. Maybe. You think you have superhero fatigue a little bit?
No, because I mean, anytime one of the superhero movies come out from Marvel, the trailers and stuff just build me up. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go watch that. Like, I was so excited for Guardians. The Wonder Woman one just doesn't. It just kind of like, it looks okay, I guess.
Do you think it's because in the same vein of the Spider-Man universe, you're not as invested as in a DC universe?
Maybe, but I want the DC universe to.
Well, I know you want it to
out.
work, but right now.
Yeah, right now I'm like,
it's not selling you. So
right now it's on a pretty bad track record with me, so probably I'm just kind of like, well,
we'll see.
Yeah.
I think you're at a we'll see standpoint, which is kind of what I'm at, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how the Justice League is going to work out, and I don't know how Wonder Woman is going to work out. We're going to go see him, obviously. We'll talk about him, honestly, and
hope it's good.
candidly.
I mean, I don't like paying for bad movies.
Exactly. You don't want to pay for bad movies.
Talking about scrolling through news, I ran across an article that talked about the Power Rangers movie possibly not having a sequel because it didn't do well in Japan like they thought it would or something like that. But I don't know the credibility of the article because it seemed kind of like it didn't have like real facts. It almost seemed like kind of a shit stirrer.
Yeah, like a clickbait.
Yeah,
kind of
which I fucking hate.
Well, like, that's the problem. Not to, like, echo our president or anything like that, but there's a lot of just fake news.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think...
I like the ones like The Onion and stuff that are
supposed to be
fake,
but not when you think you have an idea. That's kind of why we call this I Heard Something About That, because...
sometimes we don't know.
We don't know. We heard something about it, but we don't know if it's true or not, because we live in an age where everybody has an opinion and everybody has news and everybody has a story, but what's true is... who knows?
Who knows?
I've argued with my brother a couple years ago. I had an argument with my brother because he swore up and down they were making a Thundercats live-action movie, and I said, they're not. I said, there's a script out there right now, but nobody's picking it up because nobody wants to make it. He's like, no, they're filming it right now. I was like, where'd you read that? I was like, I read it online. And we got into this long argument about the fact that the Thundercat movie is coming out. This was like 5 years ago. Obviously, there's no Thundercats movie on the horizon, and I knew it wasn't happening. But you never know what's real at this point. It's just speculation and hearsay for a lot of...
Speaking of that, there's the He-Man movie's been in development hell for like
Yep, there's another
10
one.
years now. But apparently, the first movie, they're talking about not having Skeletor in it.
Who would be the bad guy? Mechaneck?
They didn't say.
Oh, no, he was a good
He's
guy.
a good guy.
Was it?
But they're basically saying like they want to build up Skeletor for the end.
I mean, that's a good idea.
It is, but it also is a bad idea because what if it flops? Then you don't get Skeletor in any form. So it's a hard decision.
Well, they can make what's-her-face. Well, who was the evil sorceress on...
Evil Lynn.
Yeah, make her the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, they have a plethora of bad guys they can choose from. It's just if they have to make the movie good enough to make you want to see the second one to get to Skeletor.
Do you think some of that stuff is I mean, like Turtles, do you think it's out of reach for, like... Because Turtles, as much as I wanted it to be real, it just, for some reason, I don't know if it fits in the real world correctly. You know? Like...
No, dude. Like, the first Turtles movie still holds up to me. Like, the very first one.
You're talking about the one with the suits and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous concept. It really is. The whole thing is ridiculous, but they've added like character and depth and emotion. That movie is the perfect interpretation of something that shouldn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
Kind of resonating with you.
I like to think like the entire time the Turtles have been out, like somehow I was in hibernation. I never heard about it. And somebody told me that this really popular thing is happening, and it's Ninja Turtles who are raised by a rat.
Well, I mean...
The concept sounds insane, but does it...
But we also come from the era where we were children when that came out.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So it makes sense to us now. And you may be right. Maybe people now won't get it, but I think people just like good movies. And like that, the first movie was a good movie. I think if you followed the tone, I think tone has a lot to do with it. Like
tone definitely has a lot to do with it.
Now it's just like, you know, of course Michael Bay's doing the Ninja Turtles, so it's just like explosions and super crazy shit happening all over the place. Here's a building falling. Here's a shredder that looks like a fucking transformer.
Yeah. They tried to remedy a lot of that in the second one, I think.
Yeah, I saw it was on Amazon. I need to watch it.
And they got a little bit better. I think the characterizations were a little bit more there. The Turtles still looked insane, but Bebop and Rocksteady were pretty funny.
But I think it was just too little too late, though. I think the first one really scarred their franchise.
Yeah, well, it suffered the same problem I feel Suicide Squad did. It was like too many people who had their input. Oh, it needs to be serious. Oh, it needs to be funny. Oh, it doesn't. The turtles are these brooding. In the first movie, the turtles are these brooding, terrifying monster men. And 4 minutes later, Michelangelo's farting in a sewer tube. It's like it's too drastic of a shift.
Yeah.
That like I there's no middle ground. It can't just be childish and kiddie and then dark and brooding.
Well, it's like they tried too hard to push the turtles' characteristics. Like I said, once again in the first movie, Michelangelo was goofy, but he wasn't just constantly like the entire time.
Yeah.
Raphael wasn't just always just so mad that you couldn't even look at him. He was just so angry. He was angry, but he also had like, what's the word I'm looking for? He was balanced in a way.
Yeah. He wasn't too angry.
Yeah, he wasn't too angry.
Well, you can't just be a pissed off volcano man yelling all the time. There has to be
there has to be characteristics about you that people find endearing.
Yeah, or your brothers would have kicked you out a long time ago if you were just this.
And that's why in the end of the first movie, like when they're falling off that giant stupid building, and they're like, "Oh, we're my brother, and I love you," or whatever. And it's just like, where did this come from? Like, I didn't see any of this build up throughout the whole movie. I didn't see them having this bickering, fighting, and it just felt like the whole movie was just rushed. And then at the end, they tried to add some feelings into it.
Part of that has to do a little bit with CG, because with suits you can sort of improvise, but with CG you kind of have to be set on your script and what you have to say.
Sure.
So that's kind of why I like what was it? Alien Covenant had actual practical alien effects in it, which was pretty cool to see.
It should. Just going back and look at the first Turtles movie, though, like it's still just it's amazing that they pulled that off in that day and age, and now
it's very 80s though.
It is, but it's still enjoyable.
Yeah,
and it's still a feat to see the turtles like walking around and talking with those suits on.
Mm-hmm.
That you can tell everything in that movie is interacting with each other. It's not standing in front of a green screen trying to pretend that there's something looking at you.
Yeah. I go back and forth on it because sometimes I think if they do motion capture, it makes a lot more sense. Like those Planet of the Apes movies. I know you haven't seen those, but man, those are their people are acting to CG apes, but Andy Serkis is actually there.
But that makes sense though, because there's a ton of apes in those movies. Where
do you know all the apes in those movies? There's only 5 people who do motion capture for it.
Wow,
and they just duplicate them. It's crazy to think that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, especially I think I don't know so much in this new one, but the second one, they had like I think 5 to 7 people in costumes, and they duplicated them like hundreds of times, which is amazing. They could do that and flawlessly so. But
once again, like I said, that goes back to there's tons of those characters. They need to do that. Where Ninja Turtles,
there was 4 of them.
There was 4 of them, and then Shredder. And
yeah, Shredder was a little overcooked for me. Yeah, it was like
he's
really weird.
He's supposed to be a ninja, but he's also a mech.
Yeah, he was shooting knives and stuff, and it's like the original Shredder didn't need any of that stuff.
And once again, yeah, Shredder was intimidating enough. Just he's got that Darth Vader complex to him. Like he's got a presence.
Darth Vader is so simple. He has a couple powers and a sword, and he kicks everybody's ass. That's what Shredder was supposed to do.
And his presence too. Like he's just his demeanor. It's just. Here comes a scary motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like you're not even a Star Wars fan, but you recognize the fact that Darth Vader is a representation of a villain, like a real villain. He walks in the room, especially at the end of Rogue One. That was awesome. He hadn't seen Darth Vader like that in a long time, so it was pretty cool to see that. But yes, I get what you're saying. A villain doesn't need to have a bunch of gadgets and a bunch of weaponry to be scary. He just has to have a commanding presence.
He doesn't need to be a giant mech transformer to be scary.
It's true. Speaking of tone, let's talk about some video game stuff.
Let's talk about some video game stuff.
So Friday the 13th game came out this week.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
And everybody's saying you should wait a little bit because they're having server problems.
Yeah, I've heard it's still pretty glitchy too. Like I've heard of people walking through walls and Jason like floating in midair.
That stuff usually gets fixed after a while. And it was
I did see that the characters' facial animations are still terrifying.
Yeah, I think that was a Kickstarter game, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it kind of adds to it, though. I think it's kind of funny to see those characters making these ridiculous-looking faces.
Yeah, it's a budget title, too, so if you want to pick it up...
Yeah, it's $40.
It's $40. That's a good deal.
We'll definitely wind up getting it. We'll probably wait till a few patches come out.
Yeah, and because there was a couple games like that, like Destiny and even The Division when that came out. They were both fairly buggy, and then after a little while,
the beta
those
was a
things
lot of
get
fun
fixed.
too. So
Yeah, the beta was fun. But yeah, well, once we get that,
and I'm sure it's one of those things where the glitches and stuff aren't going to be a huge problem. Like if we get a group of our friends together, I've heard it's a lot of fun with friends. So.
glitches are comedy, though.
They are.
I enjoy glitches.
As long as it's not to the point where it makes the game unplayable.
Yeah, people were complaining about Skyrim remastered on Xbox One having all the same glitches as Skyrim, but that was the funny part about Skyrim was that you could like hit something the wrong way and shoot up into the atmosphere, or a troll could knock you across the map. That shit was always funny. So speaking of open world games, I showed you. Speaking of open world games and tone, I showed you that Far Cry 5 trailer that takes place in Montana.
Apparently, there's a lot of outrage about this
There's
game.
a little bit of outrage about or controversy about it because it's apparently takes place in America, and then people thought you were shooting the good old boys, but they don't realize that the whole point of the game was that there's a cult that sort of took over this small town, and you play a deputy who kind of gets caught in the middle, and you get cut off from everybody else, and so you're constantly fighting these radicalists, essentially.
I think that's awesome. Like I haven't played any other. I think the last Far Cry just to goof off in the open world. That's about it.
Yeah.
But this one, I want to see the story because, one, I think cult stuff is cool. Like
I knew that'd be up your alley.
Yeah, like the mentality behind that has always been fascinating to me. How people kind of get sucked into that. So to see that into a game is awesome.
Yep. And Far Cry games are really good at open world and allowing you to do what you want.
Hopefully people don't cry so much that they change it.
No, I mean, it's so far in development now, you can't really change the story. I think people complain all the time. People used to complain about Grand Theft Auto, and that never changed Grand Theft Auto.
I know. It's just like nothing can be different or be too far out there. It's like just let it be, man.
Well,
Not everything's going to be a fucking Lego game.
Let's talk about this. Is there any originality anymore? Hasn't everything been thought of and done and in some way, shape, or form?
Everything is based off something in some way. But you can still make it your own. And
yeah, it's not about coming up with the original idea. It's about putting your own spin on it.
Like we haven't seen a video game that's based in Montana with a cult taking over a town. We haven't seen that game.
It's true.
But
I've seen games with cults before.
Yeah, we've seen games with cults. We've seen games that are in the West. We've seen open world games. So you can still take it and take all those tools and make it into one new idea.
Yeah. Well, people want to complain. I think that's I think that's the world we live in. We talk about it so much. We're complaining now about people complaining.
Yeah.
It's something we do as people. It's just what I think people just want to be upset, though.
I think so too.
I think people aren't necessarily offended by something, but they're just like, what can I be offended by? Oh, that? Okay.
Yeah.
And everybody's a badass tough guy when you're anonymous on the internet.
Yep.
Nobody, these people work really hard on this game. That's what makes me a little sad about video games in general, especially in this age, is people work so hard on these games, like day in and day out, and they're working 12 hours a day to try to get this game out to you, and one person who just has a bad day just shits all over your game, and then a bunch of people don't buy it.
Yeah.
And it's just same thing with movies. I mean, there's a lot of movies that probably shouldn't be made or whatever, but there's also movies that are out there that are good that don't get any credit for what they've accomplished and all the people who've worked on it. So it's sad when somebody's just like, yeah, that movie sucks. So like 100 people don't go see that movie who might have, just because one person said it.
Yeah, that's true.
We're getting a little political here. Sorry.
That's true though.
It makes me sad.
There's reviewers for everything now. Like there's everywhere. I mean, we do it too. We review toys and stuff.
Don't ever take our reviews seriously. We try to be as honest as
we say what's
can.
on our mind about it, but that doesn't mean you have to take that opinion yourself.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people tend to do sometimes is say, don't buy Friday the 13th because it's a piece of shit game that doesn't work.
And then other people just kind of absorb that opinion, like without even playing it, and they go tell their friends, yeah, man, the Friday the 13th game sucks. It has this wrong with it and this wrong with it. It's just stuff they heard in a review.
Yeah, and not necessarily like play it themselves or experience it themselves or something that'll eventually get fixed. But anyway, I like the idea of the Far Cry 5 thing. It looks the tone looks cool. You get to fly biplanes with miniguns on them and semi trucks, and
it's another game I actually want to see the story of because Zelda's been the only one I've played recently that I've actually went all the way through. And then probably the only game before that may have been the Bayonetta games and then The Last of Us. I beat The Last of Us just because I was absorbed in the story.
Last of Us is so good.
And that's hard for me. It's hard for me to get absorbed into a story because typically the way I play games, I play it until it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Or I've played all, I've done kind of everything I wanted to do. It's hard for me to get really sucked into a story. Last of Us was the game that did that.
Well, stories stories in games sometimes come secondary to gameplay.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. I'm not at all admonishing that because some games are, there's a story there, but most of it's experience the game.
Well, it's like the Bayonetta games for me. The story was kind of ridiculous and dumb and just out there. I wasn't too enthralled in it, but I just couldn't wait to play the next level because the game was so wild and crazy.
Yeah, it kept switching up on you and what it was doing and all that stuff. Yeah, that's a sign of a good game. A game should constantly change and innovate so you're still interested in playing it.
But The Last of Us, I think, was a perfect mix. Like you had just enough gameplay that made it kind of not super difficult, but there was some parts that were kind of like, damn, this is kind of hard.
That's Naughty Dog, man. They know how to pace a game.
But then the story was like enough to hook you into to where you wanted to see what happened after you wanted to beat that hard part because you wanted to see what was going to happen next in the story.
Yeah, which is fun. Those are always good games.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to this. We can't talk about it until next year when it comes out, February 18th of next year.
Hey, take your time, developers. I don't want games to be rushed. Especially a game with a story that looks like that. Like, take your time and make it awesome because
the Far Cry stories are usually pretty good. Like, I usually get lost in the open world aspect of it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do that.
I just like going into that world editor and that one, was it Far Cry 3 maybe, where...
That world editor is coming back for Far Cry 5.
Is it?
Yeah.
I just like making big pins of like all the animals and just jumping in them.
In that trailer, didn't they show some guy getting randomly chased by a bear?
Yes, they did.
And you're supposed to be able to drive semi-trucks, and you have a dog friend who will maul people and steal their guns. So, looks like a cool story.
I'll have to play that one.
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for that. Yeah, I can't wait to see how that plays out.
And before we get into my Jason David Frank news,
oh boy,
I gotta talk to Matthew. You said there was a NECA box set coming?
Oh yeah, I guess San Diego Comic-Con, NECA teased a cartoon version Turtles box set, 6-inch figures. I don't know if did you see the Turtles in Time?
Yeah, I saw that one. That was cool.
It's the same sculpts, but they were doing them in
cartoon form?
Yeah, because technically Playmates has the rights to the Turtles figures.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way NECA gets around that is making Comic-Con exclusive box sets.
Nice.
That's why they're doing the movie Turtles in such a tall scale. Like
Leonardo should be coming out of those soon. By
yeah.
the way.
Did you see the pictures of Michelangelo?
I have.
Looks good.
I'm excited for him. So
hopefully they'll show Shredder.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question.
Okay, ask me a question.
So we've talked about this before. You have this admiration for Jason David Frank, the former Green Ranger, correct?
Doesn't everybody?
I'm not lying when I say this. So you know how when because you're a father, can you sense when your child's in trouble? Did you sense that Jason David Frank was in trouble?
No, was he
in trouble? Okay, so recently at a Comic-Con...
Did he call Zordon?
No, some guy had handguns, throwing stars, and I think he had some knives and a reminder in his phone to assassinate Jason David Frank at a Comic-Con, and the security there caught him.
Oh, man, that seems like I did hear something going... Like, I seen somebody posting on Instagram something about everybody being safe at this Comic-Con. I was like, what?
Because some guy had a reminder in his phone to kill Jason David Frank, and he had a bunch of guns on him, and they thought it was cosplay.
They caught him, though,
They
right?
caught him before he did it, and he thanked everybody, and they said security at conventions are going to change now.
Why do people ruin shit?
Yeah. So I was wondering if you sensed that.
No,
he was in danger.
I did not sense he was.
Oh,
he is not my son, or he's also not my father.
But I thought you had a connection with him on
I don't have a connection with him. I just think he's cool.
Well, anyway, your cool friend almost got murdered.
He's not my friend.
You wish he was your friend.
He might be cool to hang out with. He seems like a nice guy.
He does seem like a nice
guy. He probably
guy.
preached to you a little bit.
Oh, is he he like Jesus a lot?
He does MMA for God or something.
Oh no. But anyway, yeah.
That's terrifying, man.
Yeah, a reminder to his phone. And now conventions are having strict rules about
people aren't going to be able to cosplay now, probably. And
well, it's more about the weapons bringing in.
Why did they find out why this guy wanted to kill Jason?
I haven't read anything about why he wanted to kill him. He just, for some reason.
Why do you have throwing stars?
I don't know. He was going to.
Was he going to shoot him and just start throwing throwing stars at him?
He was going to challenge Jason David Frank to an actual ninja off, probably
with guns.
He's going to shoot him and throw a ninja star at him, and he'd be like, tell everybody he killed him with a ninja star. I don't know what his plan was. Honestly, they just arrested him, and that was it. And Jason David Frank was thanking the security for catching them when they did.
That's scary, man.
Could you imagine if this would be a totally different news story if I told you Jason David Frank was assassinated? I'd be like, did you sense something was wrong? Like, what? He's dead. Yeah, so it's kind of the world we live in now.
I mean,
I remember going to a couple conventions and them checking guns. They just must have missed this guy.
Yeah.
Because
who caught? How'd they catch him? Did they say? They just.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. This is the headline. Gunmen at Phoenix Comic-Con claiming to be the Punisher targeted Jason David Frank. A man was arrested Thursday for sneaking into Phoenix Comic-Con with a collection of guns and other weapons, saying he wanted to hurt law enforcement. More details have since emerged that paint a disturbing picture about the incident, including a vendetta against one of the Power Rangers. According to the report that the Phoenix New Times, 31-year-old Matthew Sterling told police he was targeting bad police officers because he was the real-life version of the Punisher, Marvel's uncompromising vigilante. Sterling told police he was aware the real weapons were banned from Comic-Con, but said the rule didn't apply to him because, as previously claimed, he was the Punisher. Police said Sterling offered numerous fantastical stories to detectives, including saying he wanted to kill Aphrodite officers, his term for police officers if they tried to hurt or stop him. This is interesting, though not connected, when considering the fact the Punisher has been used as an inspirational figure and logo for Blue Lives Matter, a pro-police movement. Blah, blah, blah. Sterling claimed... I'm trying to find this part. Okay, here you go. Sterling claimed he had a vendetta against a celebrity who was making an appearance at Phoenix Comic-Con, which was later determined to be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers star Jason David Frank, who played the Green Ranger. Police found a message on Sterling's calendar for May 25th, the day of the attack, that said, "Kill JDF." Frank appeared at a press conference to thank police for their hard work and request their attendees do not bring prop knives for him to sign. There's no reason why. He just said he had a reminder in his phone that he had to kill JDF and just had something against the color green. I got nothing for you. That's all I had.
How does this person get? How did nobody know this? Like, does nobody know this guy? Like, how does somebody think they're the Punisher and nobody's like, well, I need to call the cops because this guy's stockpiling weapons.
Well, if you told me you were the Punisher and you have to punish all the police officers, and then I found out.
But wouldn't you notice something was off about me though? Like I was dead serious about it, because you know me.
It's true, but maybe that's just the way that guy was.
I don't know. It's fucking weird and sad. Because
we saw that Totally Obsessed story with
true.
the Turtles people. So some people get fixated on being something they're not.
It's just weird, man.
I don't know what his deal with.
And then people like that ruin things for everyone. Like, Comic-Con's going to be super locked down now.
Well, they're already showing people with cardboard guns now because they won't let them in. They won't put their props in.
I guess you got to do that because apparently nutbags think they're the Punisher.
I wish I knew why he was what his reasoning behind it was.
I know. Somebody needs to make a documentary on this guy.
If we find out about it, we'll tell you about it next week.
That'll be my next documentary.
About what the guy...
Comic-Con Punisher guy.
That's what it's called. Comic-Con Punisher guy. Oh, there's supposed to be a really good documentary called The Keepers on Netflix now.
Oh, yeah. We started the first episode last night.
Is it good?
It's okay so far. I mean, it's the first episode, so... It's supposed to be about the same people that made Making a Murder, so...
Yeah, it's supposed to be about, a
nun who died.
Yeah, well, she confronted somebody. She confronted somebody in the church, and then she disappeared.
Oh.
And nobody knows what happened to her. It's
cool.
like a 50-year-old mystery thing. It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, we'll probably finish it one day.
And then we'll talk about it.
We started it, so...
Also, got anything else to talk about?
No.
All right. We're going to end the podcast like we normally do, just, staring at each other.
I'm gonna go home and get my guns and my throwing stars.
It's so weird. I hope we find out more about that, and we'll let you know next week.
Weird world we live in, man. We're sitting here complaining about trailers and stuff, and Jason David Frank is
in danger.
Is in real danger from nut balls.
It's nuts.
It was nuts.
Well, I guess that's all we have for this week.
Yeah.
It always ends so awkwardly, like at the end of a bad date or something. It's like, oh, I guess we're done eating. So,
Well, it was nice hanging out with you.
all right, I'll see you later.
I guess I'll text you.
There we go. So thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff.
Check us out on all social media and be safe out there.
Be safe out there. Stay strong, Jason David Frank.
We got your back, Jason David Frank.
And I guess we'll see you next time.
Stay groovy.